Well, I suppose the only way that could have gone worse is if I wasn't still a parent by the end of the night. It didn't go that bad, right? I mean, I was just as honest as I could be. Honest that, yes, Evie, darling little Evelyn, is special. Not just in a way that all children are special, but special in ways that are hard to account for. That makes things hard for her and hard for everyone else, but that there's really no other way out if not through, so we all have to pony up and deal with it. And just as honestly, that there's only really so much I can do for her. I mean, it's not as if Oliver will let us get her diagnosed with something or other. It's his reputation on the line. Any condition that she has at this age is most likely genetic, and that just means it's all trickling down the family tree. If she's a bad seed, it's the fault of the tree, and most likely if he ever finds out, it'll be because of me. Because it couldn't be the man who's eaten the same bland milk and Cheerios with mushy banana slices every day for breakfast for 30 years who might have slid her one way or the other on the spectrum. No, it's his dizzy cow of a wife. who, yes, wears the same color every day, but that's because there's only so many shades that go with pink hair, or spent her childhood playing by herself, but that's just because I was shy, and I'm getting distracted. It's not even really supposed to be a blame game to begin with. Why she is the way she is doesn't even really matter. But nobody really wants to be at fault for being the reason their child's life might be a little harder than it has to be, in ways their own life is, without even knowing that it was, because that was just life. And life was hard enough without knowing that you were gifted a shoddy hand, let alone handing it off to someone else. But fault will matter to him, if we even get that far. I shouldn't have let her in. I got too close, and maybe I was just too obvious about how displeased Oliver would be, and now she thinks I'm some battered wife. I must have sounded, oh, what did I do? I know I must have done something. I was attentive. I was watching her. I was watching her face. I'm very good with faces, and at some point I said something. Or I must have looked nervous, or I did something. And her eyes softened. Softened from this interested contempt that must come from dealing with parents so pushy and entitled about their children's futures to something piteous. Maybe it was when I said so plain and clear that Oliver wouldn't like this. I didn't mean to. I was just being honest. Too honest, but honest. He isn't. He wouldn't. Or maybe when I began rubbing my arm while explaining why he wouldn't in as vague terms as I could, that, well, he's such a busy man, and this would take some time out of his schedule, and of course, the whole no parents wants to think there's something wrong with their child. I wear a lot of sweaters, and it's soothing to be held like that, even if you have to be the one to hold yourself together. But maybe that's just the thing. The fact that she could tell I was holding myself together. Maybe it was everything. My over-apologetic nature, the stuttering, even just the fact that you were there. This person who can't really speak a word on what's going on because it's not your job, it's not your place, but nonetheless you're there, right next to me. Too old to be my child, too young to be my husband, too scandalous and too devoted, and of course, too weird to be a partner from an extramarital affair. Like, what? Third base is whatever third base is. Fourth base is this. Fifth base is anal. Like, no, I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you for how all this went down. To point a finger at you is just admitting that I can't point it at myself, and besides, even if I wanted to, how could I? You sat there in total silence as nothing more than a friend. As my friend. If I'm allowed to say that while you're on my dime. To be fair, though, it does sound really battered wifey to say, I can't get my daughter's mental illness diagnosed because the idea of getting her tested at all, let alone her having one, would upset my husband. I mean, doesn't it? But to imply that it makes me incapable of caring for my own child? Irresponsible, yes, I know. I can't deny that, but near incapable? A mother of poor moral standing? As if she'd be so ready to forgive me for all of this if that was the truth? As if Evie wouldn't still be negatively affected by all of this? By everything? I'd cry if I didn't know Evie was in the next room, waiting for us to take her home, because that's what she's doing. I know her so well. All the other kids are probably dragging their parents around the classroom, showing them the little pictures they've drawn or their favorite little books, getting them to meet their friends, but Evie, I know my Evie. Evie's probably just sitting at her desk. The other kids think she's stern, silent, weird, sure, but based on the glazed look in her eyes, she's just tired. She's too tired to really run around or draw her little autopsy pictures, and especially too tired to try and play with the other kids, but if she falls asleep now, they'll call her a baby on top of everything else, so she's just sitting there, waiting for the privacy of a car seat to fall asleep in. Waiting for a warm bed filled with enough bears to fill a cave. Waiting for us. Waiting for me. Which is why I can't cry right now. Because we're the same. Because she is performing as much as I'm performing, because she learned it all from me. Because she's my daughter. And I'm her mother. And I let the poison seep because I never knew it wasn't water. It wasn't air. The autism could have come from either one of us, maybe even both, but how she's learned to deal with it, that's all me. I'm a bad mom. I don't think there's such a thing as a good parent, really. Because everyone is learning how to be a good one all the time, and Nobody's going to be perfect. They're just going to be yours. But I am a bad mom. And she knows it. And now you know it too. And you know what the worst of it is? I think if she actually asked me directly if I really was abused, a battered wife, living in the jaws of a monster, just barely making sure Evie remained out of the fray, you know what I would have said? He's not home often enough to beat me. Beat us. What good mom could confidently say that?